It's odd that over a decade ago, I would have never considered leaving the career that I worked so hard to build as a software developer. Well, actually, it's better to say that I fought for, suffered for, and sacrificed for, and that it would be something that I was so looking forward to escaping. But it happened. I would have never considered this life as a content creator had my girlfriend at the time, who most awesomely became my wife, had she not given me a GoPro for my birthday one year. It was totally unexpected, and it was something that truly started this journey for me. It would actually take a few more years tinkering around with creating content and sort of finding some level of direction that I wanted to take that content in and what I wanted to share before I actually started to have the desire to become a full-time creator. But I had to set that dream way, way out in the future, actually sometime after I retired. The thing about dreams is they tend to build and build until they become something that really needs to happen, or in other cases, they sort of smolder for a while and eventually burn out. For me, being a full-time content creator, it was the former. It just kept building and building. So I started planning. If I really was going to be a full-time content creator someday, I needed to get all the expensive stuff out of the way before I retired. Because, living on a fixed income, spending several $1,000s for a new camera or a light is something that's very difficult to justify. The other thing that I needed to do in that time period before going full-time, before retiring, is I needed to get my studio fully built out so that it was set up in a way where I could just come in, sit down, and start recording the videos that I wanted to record without any of the challenges of doing that. Kind of a little backstory is, for the longest time, my process for creating videos was to find a space, set up all my gear, cameras, lights, all that kind of stuff, and then when I was done, tear it all back down. That meant that I would often end up with videos that were rather inconsistent from video to video. Over time, though, I found a space in the house that definitely worked for me, and I started building and building and building that space into essentially what you see today, which is probably one of the easiest studios to work in because I can just sit down, hit a couple buttons, turn on a few lights and all that kind of stuff, and I'm recording. It's so wonderfully simple. But that was something that I had to get in place before I actually, pulled the trigger to go and become a full-time content creator. The other thing that I think is really critical with all of this is I also needed to get better at creating content. I needed to find better focus. I needed to get more comfortable with being in the front of the camera. I needed to find out what approaches I wanted to take for actually kind of doing the back end build out of my videos. Do I want to script my videos? Do I just want to do outlines? All those type of things. I needed to get that process figured out so that when I did eventually jump into this amazing adventure, I had kind of all of those challenges, learning things out of the way. Now, that doesn't mean that now I'm a full-time content creator that I'm still not learning and improving, but it does mean that when I eventually did become a full-time content creator, that I wasn't struggling with those kind of initial pieces of being a full-time content creator. Hopefully that makes sense. So about 5 years ago, perhaps a little longer, I started purchasing the things that I needed, and I started building out my studio. But I still didn't have the validation that this is something that I could succeed at, which was another crucial pillar for me making a decision to go full time. is I needed validation, not from friends or family, but from somebody in the industry that could tell me, yeah, you've got the chops, you've got the drive, you've got whatever it is to make this successful. And I don't mean like successful, oh, I create a video on a weekly basis, or I have a few people following my channel. No, I'm talking successful in the idea that I am delivering a message that I want to share, that people are interested in that message and want to engage with me in that, but also that it could lead to a source of income that would make me no longer dependent on some other forms of income. The goal, right, was to be able to essentially retire and have a new income stream, but be able to live that really cool life as a content creator. So in that vein, that effort to get validation, I got a coach. Now, we're not talking about just any coach. We're talking about one that was God wrapped and delivered. Not only did he help me find clarity and some level of assurance, but he also helped me figure out that waiting wasn't the right move, that I really needed to act sooner. So first thing here is, he didn't say, Dan, you need to bite the bullet and go full-time right now. And he didn't say that if you wait any longer, you're going to miss the boat. In fact, he didn't say anything suggesting that I quit my job and that it was the best thing that I could do. What he did was help me find within myself the truth that I needed to stop fearing the unknown, and that sometimes drastic change, well, complete leaps of faith are necessary. And through that process, I realized chasing the dream of being a content creator wasn't any different than the dream I was chasing over 3 decades ago of being a software developer. It just meant that I needed to put in the work and start walking the path. So my plan, keep in mind though, that I'd already been acting on this plan for the last 4 to 5 years, went from someday to a definitive date, Friday, December 29th, 2023, the end of 2023. At that time, I made the decision to put in my notice that I would be retiring at the end of the year. It was like, I don't know, just a couple months when I had put in that notification announcement, sent my letter, talked to my manager, all that kind of stuff. So here's the thing. It's now been nearly 2 years since my soft retirement. And I'll be honest with you, there have been some days, some of the darkest days that I've had in years. But honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. This new journey has grown my life, but it isn't perfect. My channel isn't massive, and actually, at the time of filming this video, it's still rather small. But my health is better, my soul is healing, and I'm building a bridge back to 2 of my kids. It's a little harder for my son, just in the fact that, well, you know, he's away a lot, but I feel like my connection with him has grown and improved drastically over the last couple years, which I'm awesome with. And the other thing is really cool, something really cool for me is I get the opportunity to share my story with you, which is really one of the coolest things. So then another really cool thing that started happening is once a year, I get together with a large number of like-minded individuals, other content creators, some of which I call friends, and share insights and stories and struggles with, and just how cool it is to be a creator. So I'll ask you, have you started to formulate your escape plan? And, you know, what is the dream that you are chasing?